Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Yes, pilgrims, that announcement can be trusted. This is, in fact, the Missing Links Golf Show. It is Andy Walker, episode 52.
Yes, we've just clocked over the exact number of weeks there is in a year, and we've almost done one
Far out.
one per week, haven't we? So it's got to be a year.
Pretty close.
What was the date of episode 1?
As a matter of fact, we are recording this episode on the 15th of October. I believe our first one we recorded on the 12th of October last year.
So it is now what 1 year plus.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, how exciting.
Nice.
So to celebrate, ladies and gentlemen, which we didn't even realize before we just had that conversation, to celebrate, we've got a lot to talk about. There's been quite a bit going on. We have not recorded an episode for around about 2 weeks now because of school holidays in our part of the world, and both of us dovetailing nicely with weeks away with the family, which meant that we had a couple of guest appearances. In the last episode that you would have listened to, if you're listening in chronological order, was a fantastic interview with Joel Gregory from golflifecrisis.com. I was listening to that just this morning, as a matter of fact, and great conversation, really good conversation. I thought it was.
Yeah, quite interesting, because in the last 2 weeks, because we haven't recorded, I haven't listened to really anything normally I do sort of go back and listen to a couple of the really interesting conversations that we have, but I've quite literally, like when we recorded with Joel, I sort of cut the cord quite literally,
Switched
and
off.
This is the first time I've come back to have the conversation. So it was quite literally a break for me, which is good.
Which is quite necessary. And if you follow the Facebook page, you would have seen a photo that I posted there enjoying a champagne with my lovely wife in the tropics, which was
nice.
Very, very much needed after a long winter. So that's been good. So anyway, we're back. We are back. We're playing golf. We're practicing golf. We're doing all sorts of things, and we want to tell you all about it. But before we get to that, Voice of the Pilgrims, Andy Walker, needs to be shared. It's a quick one tonight.
Nice. Yep.
So we had some fan mail come through from the we call it that because that's what it's called on the podcasting app, but it's the send us a text message button that you'll see in the show notes. And we had a message come through from CS Midland, Texas. I'm assuming CS are the initials. And it says this: love the podcast.
Nice.
Straight to the point.
Is that it?
No,
or
that literally, quite literally, that's it.
Excellent. Well, yeah. I'm glad that people love the podcast. I mean, we love doing the podcast, so
we do. I'm curious, CS, if that's your initials. I'm guessing it is. It's CS Midland, Texas, Houston, Texas, actually, and the last 4 digits are 3684. If that's you and you're listening, drop us another line and tell us maybe why you love the podcast. That'd be interesting to know. Is there any specific reason, or you just generally love it, which is also fine. Like, it might be because of the theme music, it might be because of the conversation, it might be because of the guests. I don't know. But anyway,
there's plenty there to love. I mean, let's face
it. There's a lot there. It's definitely not because of the scripting department. I'll give you the tip.
Anyway. Is there a script? I think we've covered that many times.
There isn't. But we do have a bit to talk about. Andy Walker, I don't know what order you want to hit this in, but we need to hear about your round in Wyong.
Yes.
We need to cover off the end of September results of the Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship. There is a little bit of a equipment update to potentially share, and potentially also a little bit of a discussion about some training aids.
Technology.
Mm.
Mm.
Have I
Love the
missed anything?
technology. No, that's about it.
I think that's
I
about
mean,
it.
I think that'll cover the next 3 hours, won't it?
I think so. Oh, there's also a little bit of a conversation topic about the New South Wales Country Championships
Ooh, yes.
that we need to have at some point as well. So there's a few
Okay.
things there. So I think to kick off, let's go to Wyong.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Um, yeah, look, I mean, well, Wyong was very much, same, which has been a little bit frustrating. I played reasonably well at times. In
Mm.
in fact, most of the time. But then I played appallingly bad, just a few holes.
That's all it takes.
I actually turned one over, which was good. I started, quite well in that I felt as though I was hitting the middle of the club for the first few holes. Then it got a little bit scrappy through the middle of the front nine, but I still managed to keep it together. And I was actually playing with David McClelland, and I did mention to him that I wasn't quite hitting it out of the middle for the last few holes of the front nine. Um, but still, I was pretty happy that I'd kept it together. I was only one over. We turned down the back nine at Wyong. I played 10, made a good par at 10. Then on 11, now I was a member of Wyong for maybe a year and a half when I
Oh,
first
yeah.
moved up to the Central Coast.
Mm.
And 11, 12, 13, 14 were always my holes that I struggled with. In fact, locally known as Amen Corner,
I
because they
see.
they are they are quite difficult.
Mm.
And after my par on 10, so I was one over after 10. I went double, double, bogey, bogey.
That's not good.
No, no, and it pretty much I went from potentially having a reasonable round through to, yeah, this is same, and ended up shooting 78, which it's past 71, so it was seven over. But it's just in that sort of seven or eight over type of range that I've been scoring. In fact, I've sort of gone back and excluding my debacle at Glenmore, my last six rounds have been 78, 78, 80, 80, 80, 78.
Mm.
So it's consistent.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it's also been pretty consistent in that I feel like I'm playing really good golf at times and it's not far away.
It's
But
just a
then
couple of holes. Is that the
it's just
game?
a couple of holes. Like it's just a debacle. And interestingly, because went down in the school holidays, went down to Ulladulla as Ted from Mollymook, obviously my old man. He went down there, took the grandkids down to spend some time with Ted, and we went out and played 18 holes. Very similar story at Mollymook,
Mm.
in that I was even par through five holes. No, sorry, four holes. And on the fifth, which is a par five, out of bounds all the way down the left, I hooked two out of bounds and ended up taking nine.
Ouch.
And I'm sitting there going, like,
How?
where did that come from? And
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 two.
and yeah,
Both
I
off the
don't.
tee? Was it
Yeah,
five
but
off the tee?
both off the tee, and they were horrendous shots. Like they were horrendous. And I don't know where they came from. I honestly don't. Like I'd actually started reasonably well and was hitting it pretty solid, and just these two shots just came out, and I don't know where they came from, which is a bit of an issue because
Oh,
it's
yeah, it is.
it's it's not it's not denting my confidence, but it's, yeah, I just don't
Does
know.
it does
I
it
don't know if
sit
it's
in the back
time.
of the mind though a little bit when you kind of during the round, not
No, no,
consciously maybe, but just
look, it probably, or maybe subconsciously, but certainly over the last 12 months, I feel like I've improved my mental game and my mental approach in
yeah.
just sticking to process. Subconsciously, is it there? Well, Maybe I'm
Well,
not
how would you
sure,
know?
but I don't consciously feel. In fact, I actually feel pretty good standing over the golf ball
Yeah.
because I'm hitting a lot of really good shots. But I just don't know where these rank shots are coming from. Like they are horrid. Um, so yeah, so that
Is it generally the snappy that comes out?
no, because I sort of continued on and had a bit of a string of pars and got through to what hole 16, and they've swapped the nines around since
Mm,
I played there as a junior. So I always think the front nine is the back
yeah.
nine and the back nine's the front nine.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
always get sort of I have to figure out which hole is which. So the old seventh hole, which is 16. I hit it about 40 meters right. And there's actually a creek in
There is.
between the 16th and a couple holes earlier, the 14th. And I hit it into the creek. Like, and that is a long way right. And
Mm,
I hit my four fairway from the tee. So I wasn't even a driver.
mm.
And I took a drop and then sort of made double from there on that hole. So, it's these and John Sherman talked about, the war on double bogeys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
still having nines. Like it's just a round killer. It
Yeah.
is.
It is. It is. Unless you're playing
So
Stableford, but
yeah, I'm
definitely do that in
struggling.
tournaments.
Yeah, I'm struggling a bit just with the blow up holes. So I don't know if that's just, you know, getting some more rounds under the belt. I mean, they seem to disappear a little bit when earlier in the year when I was playing consistently. Um, Maybe it's just time. And
Mm.
it will work itself out. But yeah, I'm not sure where they're coming from.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well was that earlier in the year you'd gone through that swing change process,
Mm,
which seemed to be paying dividends, but then of course resulted in your pectoral and sternum injury,
mm,
which may or may not have been related. We
mm.
think probably it was. I
Yep.
just wonder if the swings probably reverted a bit back to what was happening prior to that. It might be time for a bit of a coaching tune up.
Well, interestingly, because and we talked just before we jumped on air about a new app that we've just well, you discovered it
Yes.
and you sent
Yeah.
it to me, and I had a bit of a play around with it about sort of 2 hours ago. And yeah, I'm very over the top. And when I go back and I'll you know remember what Ben Hogan wrote in his five lessons,
Yeah.
that the plane on the downswing should be lower than the plane on your backswing. Well, mine is higher than my backswing. So
I
that says to
was
me that I'm
quite
definitely,
surprised to see
yeah.
that.
So I think that may have something to do with it, that I'm just getting too steep
Yeah.
on the downswing, and that was a little bit of an eye opener. And I made some adjustments, and I sent you my second swing there, which was much better. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was just something as simple as that, in that I was getting a bit flat on my backswing and coming over the top a little bit.
I think it could be that. And I know like one of the things that's made the biggest difference for me lately has been getting the takeaway, um, in the right position to, I think it's Justin Thomas that does this when he's, doing his practice takeaway before he swings, takes the club back to about horizontal, make sure that the club head's outside his hands and that the face angle's sort of matching up with his spine angle.
Yep.
And he knows that if he can nail that part of the takeaway, the rest of his swing's going to slot into position pretty
Mm,
well.
mm.
It's actually it's really true. And then there's another video. Not that I would be subscribing to YouTube University by any stretch of the imagination, but the video that was with Andy Proudman from Me and My Golf with Sean Foley doing the drill, which was sort of the one that he was doing with Tiger, which was the horizontal to horizontal takeaway to get that get that takeaway on plane and get the release through the ball.
Yep.
That's pretty much all I've been working on in the high performance center.
Mm.
It's and it has made a massive difference, in particular to my um, results off the tee, which I'll come to shortly when we talk about other things with strokes gained results. And I've never been happier with my driver swing than I am at the moment.
Yeah, right.
My irons, there's still a little bit of work to do. That's a bit of a weakness, but that's been to do with consistency of hitting the face actually more so than anything else. But
Mm.
driver results have been quite amazing lately,
Yeah,
which is
right.
which is really cool.
Okay.
So I think there's some things on that, and I know my plane is a lot better than what it used to be.
Yep.
So as
Yeah.
you've seen from that little
Mm.
video that I sent through as well, I was quite
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
with where that was
yeah,
sitting.
and that was very good. Like, I that was one of the things I noticed, and as soon as I saw that, I went, "Oh, that's really interesting," and sort of just twigged something in my mind where I thought maybe that's my issue, which is why I was keen to get straight out there and give it a crack.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so it potentially could be that I've just gone back to the old habits of coming a little bit over the top and getting too steep.
Yeah. From looking at that video quite lightly, Pilgrims, for your information, the app that we're talking about, it's called Swing Replay. I saw it through another Facebook user that posted a video, and it basically what it does is very simple. It traces the path of your club head in the backswing and the downswing with different colors so that you can really see the path that your club travels. It's very, very simple to use. You just put your phone on a stand behind you, and it automatically records your swing. It's
Yeah.
it's really, really easy to use. So we'll chuck the details on the Facebook page for
It
you to
it
have a look at.
actually it actually came up for me in the Apple store as golf swing replay. But then when I've downloaded the app, it just comes up as swing replay. So if it comes up as golf swing replay,
That's
that's
the
the
same
one
thing.
that
Yeah,
yeah
we'll
that we're
try and
talking about.
we'll drop our videos on the Facebook page and Instagram and whatnot, and you guys can critique what you think of what you see. So it's quite exposing. It's actually really good. I think it's going to be a good training aid,
Mm.
and worthwhile using. There's a free
I
version and a subscriber version, which you might have to subscribe
Yeah, I
to
must
get on.
admit, I do like this app more than I like the AI app that we are trialing earlier in the year, because at least
Oh,
this
100%.
this doesn't actually diagnose and gives you a score out of 10
No, that
to
was so bad. It was so bad and it was so addictive. I hated it.
yeah. I mean, in the end, I actually, well, I haven't deleted the app, but I haven't used it for quite a while, just because, like, yeah, it's just so foreign to
Yeah.
anything that I want to be doing with my game that I just went, you know
Yeah.
what? No, I just don't
No,
want to deal with
I
it.
know. It was bad. It was bad, bad, bad. Really interesting and a lot of fun. And like I say, really addictive, but just so bad for your game.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
I
I,
do,
I
I
reckon
do,
I
I
reckon
like
this
this one.
one, yeah,
I
the
like
the
this one.
swing replay app, I think that's going to be a lot more
Yeah.
useful, I think.
Yeah, yeah, because all it is it's just showing you the facts. It's not interpreting it. It's not telling you what to do, and it's certainly not giving you a score. But it yeah it does the stuff that you see on that the graphics does on PGA Tour coverage and those sorts of things, which is quite cool to be able to do that in your garage. Is really good, and you could I'm sure you could take it out on the course and do it on the course as well with if you had a little phone holder or something on
Yeah,
your
for sure.
golf bag, and
Yeah.
you'd be able to do that. Might look a bit weird, but you could do it. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, so that was Wyong. Okay. How did you finish in the competition though, Andy Walker?
I to be honest with you, I didn't really check. Um, really no. I mean, look, I may have come maybe top 15. There were actually four under one it. Really good score, and the guy who shot four under was actually six under with two to play. No, sorry,
Yeah.
six under with three to play, and bogeyed two of the last three to
Ouch.
finish four under, and he won by four. Like even par was came in second. Um, but David McCullum had 78 as well, so him and I tied. In fact, we both had 1.5 meter putts on the last. He was one shot in front of me, and I made mine, and he missed his.
That's gonna burn.
Yeah, yeah, and he knew it too. Like I actually didn't know until
Did
he
you
said
make
something
yours
to me.
first?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, he's just doubled in length at that
yeah,
point, didn't it?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. So we tied on 78, but yeah, it was pretty disappointing. In all honesty, I'm not a fan of look, and 78's okay, I guess, but yeah, I'd much prefer to be back
It's not
down
quite. It's not
where I
quite where you
was
need to be.
shooting sort of mid to low 70s.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
am in finishing, I am going to take a bit of a break from playing in the senior events and just sort of come back and do some practice and try and get my game in some sort of order and maybe playing a couple of just local comps at my home club.
no, that's totally fair. Totally fair. I want to come back to your point about you shooting pretty much the same score every time you go out there, and it's getting a little bit frustrating and feeling like you're on a bit of a plateau.
Yep.
I want to run you through my last 4 rounds,
Yeah,
Andy
right. Yep.
Walker.
Mm.
And these scores have been 82, 84, 81, 82.
Yeah, they're grouped together fairly well. Not a huge dispersion.
Yeah, it's like, come on. And then
Mm.
when you take slopes and differentials and whatnot into account, the gross differentials on those rounds, so for handicapping purposes, it's been 12.0, 12.0, 13.9, 11.8.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'm feeling your pain.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I
Absolutely
don't know what
feeling your
my
pain.
gross differentials are, but they'd be grouped fairly close, I reckon.
Yeah. So on that topic though, that's my last 4 rounds in terms of the handicapping scores. But I do want to talk about the strokes gained results from, I can't go last 4 rounds, but I can go last 5 rounds.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yep.
So pretty close anyway. So against a scratch handicapper for the last 5 rounds, my strokes gained result actually appears better than what you would think from those. It's at minus 7.94. So basically 8. But I suppose when you look at as a scratch handicapper, that means that you're playing to scratch essentially 4 times out of 20.
Yep.
So that's probably reasonable. But when I break it down, Andy Walker, my strokes gained areas. So we've talked before how I've been quite happy with how my putting's going.
Yep.
So that's sitting at minus 1.0,
Okay.
which is not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been better than that at times, but it's probably a fair reflection.
Mm.
Short game where the major issues have been is sitting at minus 3.97. So basically losing 4 shots around
Yep.
short game. That I think is fair.
Well, that's about
Approach,
half. That's half of your shots lost against a scratch handicap, isn't it? Or thereabouts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Approach play minus 3.49, so 3.5 shots, which I think I actually think that the approach number could probably take responsibility for some of the short game number, in
Mm.
fairness,
Yep.
because I'm putting the short game under pressure by missing greens. And so anyway, I would look at those two together and just say
Yep.
that that part of the game is the weakness. But tee shots, Andy Walker gaining 0.52 on the
Nice.
field.
Nice. Driving it well.
And I can tell you if this was 4 rounds rather than 5, because the fifth one was a bit of a scratchy round, it'd be closer to gaining a full shot on the field.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's been good. Driver's going well. So there you go.
Nice.
That's an interesting breakdown, I think, and
Well,
it
I
definitely
mean,
highlights where the problems lie.
look, and the old saying of dry for show and putt for dough. I don't necessarily subscribe to that because if you can put yourself in a good position off the tee consistently, it makes the game so much easier.
It does, and the funny thing is that on these rounds that I've been shooting in the low 80s, they've almost felt like high 80s because I've been driving the ball so well, but not capitalizing.
Yep.
Um, and as an example, on the round on Saturday, which was an 82, um, on I played the last 9 and then played the first 9 as the back 9. So
Yep.
hole number 1, which is the straightaway par 5 along out of bounds right. Um, hit a great drive, hit my 4 hybrid onto the green for 2,
Mm.
pin high on the green for 2,
Yep.
par 5, and made a solid par.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's always good to have a solid par.
So, and it was one of those things. It was a downhill first part,
Yep.
and I had a run at it, and it burned the left edge for eagle. And a long way down, I'm like, this is in. How good is this? What a great start to the night. Burned the left edge, and it just kind of that kicked it a bit more down the hill. So it was probably about it wasn't that long apart on the way back. I don't know, 4 or 5 footer or something like that. It wasn't too bad, but horseshoed like 180 degrees straight back
Yeah.
at me. I'm like, oh, come on. So
Yeah.
it's there's things like that that I kind of feel like it is so close. I'm not having the issue so much about blow up holes. Like I've only had the odd double here or there, but nothing worse than that
Yep.
recently. But it's just the leaking of shots here and there that is annoying.
Mm.
That's just
Yep.
preventing it from slotting into a really good round. And unfortunately, as a result of that, as you're aware, I've blown out now from where I was at a low of 8.1, I'd kind of crept up through the eights, and it's now blown out to 9.1 because I lost a 4.4 round out the bottom end whilst I've been
Ooh.
mucking around with all these 11s and 12s.
Yeah, right. Mm.
So um, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it at the moment. I'm a bit flat on my game at the moment. Like I feel like there's a lot of good stuff going on though, but it's just a bit like you. It's just not quite firing. It's not quite
Yep.
clicking.
Yep. Yeah, look, I think these plateaus are just part of the pilgrimage, I guess. It's and I remember when I was first going from a handicap of 20 through to down to close to scratch, it was I'd make a lot of gains really quickly, and then I'd plateau for a number of months. And then
Mm,
all of a sudden something would click, and you don't know what it is, but then all of a sudden, because I went from my first handicap was 20, and I was on 20 for probably almost 12 months before I could actually play to it. And then within a few months, I went from 20 to 7. And
mm.
then I was on 7 for a number of months, and struggling around 7. And then I went from 7 to 4 within a few
Yeah.
weeks. So it's just these plateaus. I think that you've just got to remain patient and work through. And it just sounds like both of us are on one of those plateaus, and we've just got to
Yeah.
maintain that
I think you're right.
consistency.
I think you're right. And listening to the conversation from the previous episode earlier today, I think we were kind of having a similar conversation as well and sharing that as wisdom with Joel, our guest on
Yep.
the show.
Mm.
And I know it to be true. You just it's hard to accept though
Yeah.
that because you want to get through the other side of it. You want to know that you're going to get through the other side of it as well, and that it's not a case of going backwards. So there's always that as well. But I don't think so. I genuinely don't feel that. I feel like my game is so much more solid than what it was, 6 months ago, and particularly off the tee. Like I'm feeling really confident that I know where the ball's going off the tee, which I never used to feel that before.
Yep.
That's a huge change, and it's
Yeah.
really good. It's been really
Yep.
good, and then that reduces a layer of stress. Provides a whole lot of confidence in terms of getting off the tee box. Because when you're not getting off the tee box, it's very, very difficult to post a good score on any hole, let alone a round. So
Mm.
there's
Yeah.
positives there. I am taking other steps. Andy Walker, you'll be interested to know the worst part of my game being identified as the short game.
Mm.
Um, the time has in fact come to retire the old set of Cleveland wedges.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
is this is an exciting update. I'm not going to give too many details right now, but suffice to say that there are 3 very shiny new Bob Vokey designed SM10 wedges in the bag as
Very
of
good.
last week.
Very good.
So that is the result of having a fantastic session with friend of the show Jason Butt
Ah,
recently,
nice, nice. How
and
how good is how good's he? And like,
Oh,
just going through that whole process, and obviously I went through it with my
yeah,
driver fairway and the utility iron.
yeah.
But how much does he know about A, Titleist clubs themselves, but B, just how to fit you as the individual golfer with the right golf club?
So good. Honestly, so good. It was so much fun. We are pilgrims getting Jace back on the show in a couple of weeks' time, and he's going to explain the process that we went through. And I'm interested to have that conversation because I feel as though what you guys did at the top end of the bag versus what I did with Jason at the bottom end of the bag will be
Mm.
quite different
Yeah,
because
right.
one
Okay.
is quite data driven in terms
Mm.
of distances and launch angles and carry distances and those sorts of things, and the other is actually was a lot more feel oriented rather than detail. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm interested to have that conversation and get his explanation of the way that he goes about doing those different parts of the bag fitting because it is quite a different experience I found, but was so much fun just
Mm.
with every different design of Vokey wedge known to man with bounces and grinds and lofts and all those sorts of things. So that was
Mm.
very cool.
Mm.
I have
What
used
what
them only
one
for one round and they're mint. They are really
yeah.
good.
What one question I do have, did you look at your gapping between?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, because that to me is a really crucial part of, well, what I think is a crucial part of a wedge fitting.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it before in that I'm not going to go and change my irons because
Yeah.
I do have a couple of Okies in the bag, but I've got the AP2s currently, and I am going to change them over probably to the T150s. But when I do that, I also want to go through the wedge fitting as well, just to make sure all my gapping is correct, because I don't think my two Vokey wedges would fit with the lofts of the T150s. They suit the AP2s, but I don't think they'd suit the T150s. So
Yeah,
yeah, I want
it's
to
a
go
very
through
good
both those
point.
processes.
It's a very good point because your first gap wedge, I say first gap wedge because I use two gap wedges from the pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge. May go to a lob wedge in the future as well, but I'm not currently doing that.
Mm.
And the important thing is to get the gapping right from your pitching wedge. So whatever the loft is on your pitching wedge, you need to kind of build from there rather than just deciding, oh, I want to do these particular lofts on my gap wedge and sand wedge and whatnot. It's got to fit with the gapping in the rest of your iron. So, I mean, look, we'll go into all the detail with Jason when we get him back on the show. But it was a fantastic exercise, and what was also really interesting because you were talking about your numbers on the TrackMan in relation to PGA Tour and the Seniors Tour and some of those averages. So my what came out really clearly is my club head speed and ball speed averages with the wedges was bang on LPGA.
Nice, nice.
Read into that what you will. They're very, very good players. Um,
Well,
and I'm I'm
it's
not
interesting
surprised
because
because
yeah,
it was similar to that when we played in the women's New South Wales Open Pro Am with some of
yeah.
the ladies that were playing on the European tour.
Mm, mm. Well, it's interesting, and you look back at some of the more sexist language that men have been guilty of saying in the past, and oh, you play like a girl was considered derogatory, but
I'm pretty
like
happy about that.
you see some of the girls play, and I would love
They're
to be able to
amazing.
play like they are phenomenal. I'd
They're
love to
amazing.
play like a girl, like an
Yeah.
LPGA member, because they absolutely smoke it. And I remember going to the Australian Open, because the Australian Open is a combined event. There's the girls Australian Open is run in
Mm.
conjunction with the men. And look, I love going out and watching, Adam Scott and Mark Leishman, and watched Joaquin Neiman and Minwoo Lee. I mean, those guys are amazing. But I followed Minji Lee around for a little while. I followed Hannah Green around for a little while,
They're
and they
amazing.
absolutely busted out there. Like they are
Yeah.
great players, and I was just impressed with them as what I was with the blokes. Like it was a really really good, and I must admit the Australian Open is a great event. We being that they run it in conjunction, I think they've found a good medium to be able to include the boys and the girls. It's a really good event.
No, it is. And I mean, I offer that stat as one that I'm proud of. Um, you know, I was pretty stoked to see the fact that I was mixing it with, people that I watch on the TV, the LPGA Tour quality golfers. And so I was actually quite happy with that, especially as a player of the vintage that I am. Um, so I thought it was good. And I think as well, what's interesting is you go back a couple of years, and I think it was 2 years ago, Minji Lee, when she was sort of at her absolute best
Mm,
with the results she was getting, she was rated as, I'm pretty confident that this statistic is correct. Fact check me if you like, internet, but I'm pretty sure she was rated the number one iron player in the world, like of men and women, in terms of
yes.
proximity to the pin.
Yep.
Um, like that's incredible,
Mm,
particularly when you consider that she would be hitting, one or two clubs longer than the men. So she's probably hitting 7 iron to 9 iron, for example, but she was sticking it closer on
mm,
average proximity than any of the professional players of any of the
mm.
tours globally. Like that,
Yeah.
that's a hell of a skill set.
Yeah, yeah. I think her as you went through her bag, I think she was either number one or very close to it in every
Yeah.
single club through the bag in regards to proximity to the hole. Like it was just amazing the stats that she accumulated that in that period of time.
Mm. Now, the key difference here is whilst I might have the same club head and ball speeds as the LPGA, my proximity to the hole stats not quite the same
Mm,
as we've just
mm,
identified through our strokes gain data. So there's a little bit to work on there with the result, not just
mm.
the action. Anyway, so that's happening. The other thing, Andy Walker, which is an exciting update, is I am very, very close to a coaching session.
Nice, nice. So that
Mm.
means that you have actually appointed a coach.
Well, we've had initial conversations. Um, it's looking good. I was hoping actually to get in today, but couldn't quite make that happen. So fingers crossed, I might be able to get in this week if
Nice.
things line up. If not, certainly it'll be within the fortnight. But it is quite exciting. Um, yes, a fellow left-hander.
Nice. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, so I think that's good. We can talk the same language in terms of left hand, right foot, front hip, all of that.
So
And
do you feel as though, being a left-hander that he's going to like have a better understanding of your golf swing?
I actually genuinely think it'll make absolutely no difference.
But it's a good talking point.
It is, but we can both enjoy sharing stories about our respective superpowers of being left-handed. So, anyway, I'm hoping that that's going to happen, and yeah, first step is going to be full video analysis to go through all the things with the slow mo camera and all those sorts of things. So, yeah, fingers crossed that'll make a difference.
Mm. Well, you've got the swing replay app now, so you don't need all
I'll
the
take that with me.
good one.
Yeah, I feel like his gear might be slightly better than my iPhone, but
Yeah, maybe.
anyway, that's okay. Yeah, so that's the development plan. I think I've decided to get cracking on that now because we've just hit daylight savings, and that means that the opportunity for practice and to put these things into play is going to be a lot more. And I think it's the right time. Let's hit summer and try and really get things cranking because we're not too far off eligibility for the New South Wales Senior Amateur Championship, which has been the long and drawn out goal of this show, and that's coming up in March 2025.
It's not far away, is
So
it?
I need to get the house in order between now and then because the handicap's been going slightly in the wrong direction.
Well, I mean, now you got the Vokies in the bag. I mean, surely that's got to make a difference.
Mate, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Like, Do they not just hit themselves?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Wish they would at times.
But with daylight saving, there's plenty of time to get out there, and
There's a lot of time.
the Missing Links Golf Show, High Performance Centre Central West Annex.
Yeah, there is a lot of time. Look, even just the attitude that the new set of wedges provides, that I'm now looking forward to the opportunity of playing a short game shot rather than
Mm.
somewhat dreading it.
Yep.
That's got to make a difference in and of
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, for sure.
You would think. You would think. All right. So, what's next, Andy Walker, on our
Well,
list? Are you keeping track?
why don't we do the September results?
Oh,
Get that out of the way.
we can do that. Absolutely. I've got them here in front of me. Just give me a moment to bring the infamous spreadsheet up.
Now,
So,
I do have to say that every round that I played in September was a senior amateur event stroke play
right.
tournament conditions.
Okay. Which is taken care of by the slope rating on the course and the adjusted gross differential. So, I don't understand your point.
I was just making a point that
Okay.
every round was tournament conditions.
Let's run through them with particular focus on the what we call the differential percentage. So on the 2nd of September, with playing off a handicap index of 2.7, you had a gross differential of 13.0. Andy Walker. That is a net differential of minus 10.3, equating to a differential percentage of minus 381%.
That was Glenmore, I'm assuming.
Yep. Then on the 9th of the 9th, a week later, still playing off 2.7, you had a differential of 4.9. So a net differential of minus 2.2, which was minus 81%.
At least that's in double figures.
300 percentage points better, which is good. On the
The
16th of the 9th,
weather may have had something to do with that.
yeah, on the 16th of the 9th, also of 2.7, you had a further round with differential of 6.2, so net differential of minus 3.5, which is a differential percentage of minus 130%.
Mm.
And your last round of the month, on the 30th, again off 2.7, the differential of 5.5, which is a net differential of minus 2.8, and that is a differential percentage of minus 104%.
Mm.
Which means your best round of the month was on the 9th at minus 81%.
It's not
So
ideal.
that was the score to beat. The
Mm.
gauntlet had been thrown down.
And you played like on the last day of the month, didn't you?
Close to it. It was on the 28th. And this was
Just snuck it in there.
so I do want to talk about this because this is an interesting story. On the 28th of the 9th, the Saturday competition was what is called a plus par competition, which means that, as in the versus par, where you get, if you beat your net handicap score for the hole, you get a plus, and if you even tie it, square it, you get a square, and if you don't make it, you get a minus.
Mm.
All right.
So
As
effectively
opposed,
match play against the course, yeah.
yeah, but a plus par, slightly different, where if you get a shot on the hole and you make birdie, you get two pluses instead of one plus.
Ah, okay.
So you can gain the shots. Okay. So
So
on this
do you
round,
then can you get a double minus?
no, only
Oh,
double plus.
okay.
So what it's like playing Stableford with no one pointers.
Yeah. Well, no wipes.
No, everything's a white, just no one pointers. But because on the Stableford situation, well, I mean, you could argue that everything's a one pointer, but it
Yeah.
actually, yes, actually, that's the right way of explaining it. And that will make more sense to the story as it progresses. Everything's a one pointer if you don't make 2 points or more. And
I'm glad that you came to that conclusion by yourself, so I didn't have to argue the point.
there's a reason why they got confusing. So, anyway, in this particular round, I was 3 down after 3 holes, and I finished 18 holes 3 down.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Right.
With a plus and a double plus and a couple of minuses along the way.
Mm.
So I don't know if you were watching the handicapping app in the following days, trying to see if I actually lodged a score in
Well,
September.
it actually didn't update. It's sort of like
Yeah,
what it was another one like a couple of months ago where it
it
actually
was.
didn't
It never did.
register
It
until
never dropped in. But this
it
one
never dropped
took
in.
three. This one took 3 days to get in, and you might go, "Well, why is that?"
Yeah.
Okay. Now the reason is because Golf Australia won't accept a plus par event as a
Right.
handicapping score. They'll
Right.
accept a par event as a handicapping score, but not a
Yeah.
plus par event as a handicapping score.
Yeah. Right.
The
Okay.
reason is exactly what we just talked about, that every minus is equivalent to 1 point. And sorry,
Yeah.
Pilgrims, this is getting deep in the weeds of scoring.
Mm.
If you're not a golf nerd like us, it's not going to make a huge amount of sense. So theoretically, my being 3 down at the end of 18 holes should be equivalent to 33 Stableford points, right?
Mm. But you can't have a wipe effectively as you would in like you can't have -2 against your handicap on a hole.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So that's why Golf Australia wouldn't accept
Yeah.
that competition type. So what that meant is that the golf club had to go back through all of the cards and resubmit them as Stableford scores
Wow. Okay.
for handicapping purposes. Now,
Yeah.
what it also meant is because we were playing a par event, when you couldn't square the hole, quite often we'd just
Pick
pick
up.
the ball up and move
Yeah.
on rather than
Yeah.
trying to grind out 1 point.
Yeah.
So then that meant on the Stableford scoring, all of what could have been 1 pointers became wipes.
Mm.
So what
Wow.
I thought was going to go through as a 33-point round went through as a 29-point round.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. So does that mean that Golf Australia will accept a par event,
Yes,
but not a plus
not a
par
plus
event?
par.
Yeah, and look, I that makes a lot of sense. I have to admit, I have played in an event like that. It was called something different, but yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense that you can
That you
have a
can
double
gain but not
plus,
lose. Yeah,
but you can't have a double
yeah,
minus. That
yeah,
makes well, I mean that's just stable fit anyway. So I
yeah,
don't see the point of playing that. I understand a par event because it's you're playing match play against the golf course.
yeah.
Double plus, it's just why? Like, what's the? I don't understand it.
You may as well just play Stableford, to be
Yeah,
perfectly honest. Like I think the club was trying to create some variation for the members of different styles of competitions, um, and didn't realize the implications of doing this. They now know because they had to go back through 160 odd cards and re-score them as Stableford scores and enter them into the system. So that's why it took 3 days for the score to drop in to the
yeah, right.
handicapping app.
Mm.
What that meant, very long-winded way of explaining that I was on the day playing off 8.9, and what I thought was going to drop in as a score of about like a 9 or something like that became a 13.9 because of this controversy with the scoring system,
Okay.
which was a differential of -5, which equated to -56% Andy Walker. If you've been playing along at home for this long, Pilgrims, you will know that -56% is in fact a better result than -81%, meaning another month to the good guys.
Mm. Even though there's only one of you.
Also true.
Mm. So
So
after my run earlier in the year,
I have now put 4 on the trot,
yeah,
which means that the yearly championship tally is Andy Walker on 11 points and Mr. Hinks on 15 points.
Ooh, 4 point advantage.
Which is interesting because, as you'll know, within the point system, the rules of the game, that the best round of the year gets a 4 point bonus
Mm.
point.
And it's
And,
probably unlikely that you're all going to get to that.
and currently, the best round of the year is Andy Walker's plus 147% round.
Just remind me again, what do you have to get to?
Well, at the moment, let's just say for the ease of the maths of it, if I play off, say, 9.0 for argument's sake, I would need to have a differential of around about minus 4.5.
So what, 4 or 5 under you've got to have.
Mm, mm,
Nice.
yeah, hell of a round.
I mean, the whole plateau thing's going to have to change if you're going to get near that.
To be perfectly honest, I'm happy to keep rolling with the whole plateau thing if it means that the months are going to keep panning out like this. Because,
Well, I mean, we've
um,
got what have we got? 3 months left of the year.
yeah. So we got 3 months left, essentially, assuming that I don't shoot a 5 under par round, which I think I'm never going to rule it out, but I think it's unlikely. Um, Assuming that doesn't happen and you claim the bonus points, that would mean that we are actually even
Mm,
with 3 months to play, which means I don't see how it can possibly be a tie
no, no.
unless neither of us play any more golf this year. Um, but
Well, it potentially could be is that if, say, one of us wins October, one of us wins November, and then we don't play in December, and we both get -1.
let me give you the tip. If we're tied going into December, I'm playing golf.
Is there a way that we could tie on the percentage? That's the other
Well,
one too. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is.
I mean, mathematically, it's possible. I mean, you could have exactly the same gross differential percentage. That is
Yeah.
possible.
Mm,
We don't have a tiebreak rule.
mm.
And given that we don't have a rule, we can't implement one now because we set the rules and we have agreed at one thing. The one thing we have agreed on this competition all year is that we hate the rules.
Yeah, they're going to be different rules in 2025.
Yes, they will. But the rules are what the rules are. We agreed on it way back when. So we can't go adding them and changing them now. We've got to live with it, and we can change them all into 2025. But at the moment, it's all, for all intents and purposes, it's all tied
Mm.
with 3 months to play. And again, I say this again, as much as we hate the rules, it's all tied with 3 months to play. I think it's a good competition.
Well, it's certainly added a level of variability into the
Yeah.
mix because and yes, golf is a variable game, and we've had different things that have happened, injuries, good golf, bad golf, all the rest. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, here we are, 3 months to play, and we're all
And
tied at
we're
the
all tied
top.
up.
Mm.
And another statistic which makes this all the more remarkable, okay, Andy Walker, strap yourself on. I've been running an average at the bottom, or you have. One of us put it in there. I'm
No,
not
I
sure.
put it in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure who did. I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Did I do that? No, apparently I didn't.
No,
Andy Walker's been running an
it
average at the bottom of the,
was my Excel spreadsheet skills that put
yeah,
those in.
because I was quite impressed when I had a look at that. And I thought that I'd done something really good. But it wasn't. It was Andy Walker, Pilgrim. So well done, Andy. So at this point in the year, just on the differential percentage, your average differential percentage so far this year is minus 79.11%.
Yep.
My average is minus 38.52%.
Oh, okay.
Pilgrims, you can read into that what you will. Maybe that would be the tiebreaker stat potentially, but it's not in the rules. It's not in the rules.
So what are the other run through the other averages that are there, because there's a couple of averages down the bottom.
There are. That's the important one.
Because that's the only one you're winning.
It depends how you look at it. The actual handicap index average, your average index that you've played off this year is 3.29. Mine is, interestingly enough, is 9.55. Okay. Oh, that's not quite right, actually, because I think I've now played 17 rounds.
Yeah, because I only put it in for the number
Yeah.
of rounds that we'd played at the time. So if you've had to put another round in, then
Yep. So
you'll
let
have
me
to
just
change that.
adjust that.
Yeah.
8.99. That sounds more like it. 8.99. Yep. Yeah, so I've got to change all of these. Hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. There's some incorrect data. And one thing I will not do is quote incorrect data. One thing apparently I will do is edit Excel spreadsheets whilst podcasting. So now we've got it. You were average index of 3.29 to my 8.99.
Yeah, that sounds better.
5.7 difference. Your average actual differential is 5.37 to my 12.15. It's just under 7 shots difference. So your average net differential, so your scores minus your handicap index, it's been minus 2.07. So on average, you've been just over 2 shots worse than your index.
Mm.
Mine is minus 3.16. So just over 3 shots worse. You know what? In fairness, that's not bad.
Yeah, and I did, to be honest with you, when I was putting those formulas in there, I was looking at going, I don't feel like I've played a lot of good golf this year, but when I look at those stats,
That's not bad.
it's not bad.
It's not bad. So obviously your percentage is higher because your numbers are lower. So that becomes minus 79.11. Mine, actually, now that it's divided by 17, is minus 36.25%.
Mm.
So
So you've played 17 rounds. How many rounds have I played? I think it was 15.
16.
16.
It's 16. Pretty sure that's what I counted earlier.
And I'm assuming is your October round in there?
Put it in today.
Okay. So basically at the end of September, we'd both
Oh,
played
you've played,
six,
sorry, no, you've played 15. I've played 17.
15. Okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've played 17. Yep. So, yeah, that is not bad. Yes, my October round is in. Um, you've, yeah, and it's no surprise because we've already talked about the fact that all my last 4 rounds have been pretty much exactly the same score. It was a differential percentage of minus 33% Andy Walker. So you
Mm.
need to post something in October with a differential of around about 3.5 or better.
Yeah. So I've got to get my rounds back into the mid 70s rather than the
Mm,
high 70s to 80.
mm. It's definitely doable.
Mm. Problem is and as we record this podcast on the 15th of October, I'm yet to play in a competition round.
That is correct. And
I'm not going to be
I
playing
will get
next
another
week.
one in. I'll get another one in, I reckon, before the end of the month.
Yeah, I've only really got one chance, which is actually on the 29th of October, in 2 weeks' time.
You're gonna have to do it.
So I
Otherwise,
got one shot.
if you don't get it in, you can almost kiss the championship goodbye.
Well, I will play on the 29th.
That is good.
I mean, I can't have another minus one. I mean, the only reason I had the minus one was through injury. So it wasn't through my lack of desire to play.
So you say. I'll take your word for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'll take your
I
word for
think
it.
that argument that you started pretty early in the show has been put to rest.
I didn't start it. I think it was one of the pilgrims that started it.
Mm.
Nevertheless, Andy Walker, we've just ticked over the hour mark in this podcast, which I've got to say has been an absolute masterpiece of rambling conversation.
It has been.
If you're still with us, Pilgrims, congratulations, and we appreciate you hanging in there. There's probably one other little topic of conversation that we need to have, and that is the New South Wales Country Championships coming up on the 9th and 10th November at Parks Golf Club in the central west of New South Wales.
Yes.
As has been well documented, I did put an application in very, very early on, and the state of play was that you had to have an index of 9.4 or lower at the time of application to qualify. There are 120 spots in the field. If there are more applicants than 120, then you start getting pushed out of the field based on handicap.
Yep.
Don't know if that's handicap at the time or if that's handicap when you put your application in.
I reckon it's probably at the time.
Now, when I put my application in, my entry form in, I was at 8.1. As we've just discussed, it's blown out to 9.1. It's borderline.
Yep.
Of the 120 spots, when I checked earlier today, 100 of them have been filled.
Right.
There are 5 days remaining for people to get their entries submitted. Now, I did say to you before, don't go on the website because there's a piece of news.
Yes.
And that piece of news is I had an email earlier this week from our friend at Golf New South Wales, Emmanuel Aravanis.
Yes.
If you're listening, Emmanuel, we have talked before about how fantastic your customer service was, and we're a big fan of that. The email says 2024 Men's New South Wales Country Championships, blah, 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 detail, asterisk, 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 all in capitals, shouting, important update.
Ooh.
That's what I thought. And there's even stuff highlighted and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, what it says in the email, it's short, sharp, to the point. It says, please note. So this has been sent to all people with an entry currently into the event. Please note, the scratch winner of this event will now gain automatic entry to the 2024 New South Wales Open Championship at Murray Downs on 14 to 17 November. They will get to play alongside some of the best professional golfers in the country and from around the world, including the likes of Cameron Smith, Jeff Ogilvy, David Micheluzzi, Lucas Herbert, and many more. Thank you.
Nice.
So,
you got a shot, you reckon?
On seeing this announcement, which was also posted on various social channels and on the Golf New South website, I had a text message from a friend of the show, Alex from New South Wales, with a screenshot from the Golf New South Wales website. And he says, New South Wales gig up for grabs. Who cares about seniors events? You can play with Cam Smith.
Well, there's two things that I'll say. Firstly, you've got to win it and qualify. B, if you do win it and qualify, you've then got to be drawn with Cam Smith to play with him.
No, I'm going to add something to this, which is before both of those things. Okay. As we just talked about, 100 spots have been filled. There's 5 days of registrations left. I reckon my handicap is probably the highest in the field.
Yeah, right.
So I've got to be close to the first one to get punted if we go over the 120. In 5 more days, now that this announcement has been made, what are the chances of less than 20 more people putting their names down for the event? Slim.
So here's a question then. Given that you've already planned the weekend out there and obviously, have got management approval and all the rest to have the weekend, because I haven't actually entered yet, because my concern was that if there was a lot of entries, you wouldn't have made it from a handicapping perspective and would have been balloted out, which means I'd be traveling out there by myself. But if you're already going to be out there and you get balloted out, you've obviously got a free weekend to drag the bag around, surely.
Yep, and I'm okay with that. Um, if you put your entry in, and I think if we hit rewind, we're gonna come across this in one of an episode about 2 months ago when I said, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if it was your entry that pushed me out of the field?" It could happen.
I'm gonna wait because it's is it the 20th?
It's the
What
20th.
does it
The
say, like
20th is
close of business or something on the 20th? Is that
we will
what it is?
check the finer details.
I'm gonna put my entry in at 4:59.
To try and be the one. No. But yes, I have already got it in the family diary that weekend is the country championships in Parks, which is only an hour away,
Mm.
so it's fine. I don't intend actually staying in Parks. I intend staying in my own bed. If you are to put an entry in, there's a spare room here for you, and I either play alongside you or I caddy.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll put my entry in and I'll make sure that I put it in before 4:59 on the
Yeah.
20th. And
Oh, I am chewing the nails just waiting to see
mm,
what happens on this.
mm.
I don't see with 1 week to go and this now being a New South Wales Open qualifying event, I just cannot possibly imagine that it won't get flooded with entries, which is a bit disappointing.
So does it actually tell you how many players have entered on the
Oh
Golf New
yeah,
South Wales website?
yeah. You can have a look at the list and you can in
Right.
fact see everyone who has entered
All
by
right.
name
Okay.
and club.
Yep. Mm.
Yep. So we will keep a close eye on it. It's
Mm.
controversial, Pilgrims. I'm not
It
sure
is
how I
very
feel.
controversial.
Mm.
Well,
So
that's big news.
it is big news. I
Mm.
thought you'd enjoy that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I might have to put my entry in.
Yep.
I was tossing up, and I did speak to my lovely wife about it, and I thought, oh, I don't know, I might have to just wait and see, and hopefully we'll both get in, but now I'm just gonna
It's going to be touch and go.
given its New South Wales Open qualifying,
I
not
know.
just New South Wales Senior Open qualifying,
No,
New
I
South
know.
Wales Open qualifying.
It's the big
Is
dog.
it just the winner, or is
Yep.
it?
It's
Yeah,
one
okay,
person.
right. Hmm.
So
Well,
it'll
well,
be it'll be all on
given
come Sunday afternoon.
yeah, given my plateau at the moment, it's probably unlikely that 7880 is gonna get up and win, but
I promise you 7880 is not going to win it. Nor is 8182 or 8284 is not going to win it.
Okay.
Um, anyway,
Well,
but on that topic, the other one to consider is the Han Open in Orange
mm,
at the end of the month.
yep.
Not this month, November. So
Yes.
food for
Yes.
thought.
I may struggle to get a berth in that one because that just happens to be my birthday weekend, and
Perfect.
may may struggle that to get that one plus management.
I would suggest just floating the idea that nice family holiday for the weekend to Orange. And then, oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't mention that we've got a couple of tea times as a tournament on.
Yeah.
See how that one
Yeah.
goes.
Not too good, I suspect.
I don't think the argument would blow up whilst you're at our place.
No, no, definitely wouldn't,
Yeah.
but it will at some stage.
And rightly so. Let's be honest. That would not be a good strategy.
No, no.
Oh dear. Andy Walker. What a catch up it's been. Another epic hour and 10 minutes of utter ramble.
Mm,
But there's been a lot. There's been quite a lot of golf. It's been good. We've had golf to talk about. We've got development. We've got some cracking episodes coming up.
we do.
Really do. Some very, very exciting guests. I'm giving nothing away other than to say that one of them will be Jason Butt in the coming weeks, but there will be another special guest before that, which is I am super excited about.
Mm, yes, yeah, and it's a topic that that we've touched on at different stages, but haven't quite delved into it as yet, which I'm
No,
really
I
looking
haven't.
forward to.
Where would you place yourself on the spectrum between believer and skeptic?
Um, well, on this particular topic, I would have to say I've got a very open mind because I know that the best golfers in the world have used it.
Mm,
And that's probably the main reason. If it wasn't for that, I'd go no rubbish. But I know that there's the best golfers in the world use this tactic.
not just the best golfers, best athletes,
Mm,
Navy SEALs,
mm,
all sorts of high performance individuals.
mm.
That's all we'll say on the matter. Strap yourselves in, pilgrims, because it's
Yes,
coming your way.
looking forward to it.
It will be a lot of fun. But on that note, Andy Walker, is there anything else that we need to share before we wrap up this magnificent episode?
Well, we didn't actually talk about the technology
Oh,
that
that's
we've
a good
got.
point.
So
Oh,
should we leave that for the coming episodes, or should we cover that off now?
oh, I feel like we've got to probably about the attention span that we can
Mm,
hold people for after this
yeah. All right.
gripping
Well,
episode.
let's roll this over to the next episode. There's a
Mm,
couple of one particular app that I've invested in that has been a little bit of an eye opener,
mm,
and quite unexpected some of the results. So I'm really
that is
looking forward to
exciting.
sharing those results with the pilgrims.
That is exciting. I do look forward to that. There's a lot to come, pilgrims. I guess that's the point. There's a lot to come. Hopefully, we break through the plateaus. Hopefully, we get in the field for the New South Wales Country Championships. We will definitely know the answer by the time we record the next episode. That's exciting.
Correct. Yes, we will.
That is exciting. So we'll be sharing that. We might even share that. You might find out the answer to that before you hear this episode because we might put a post on our socials. I don't know. Anything could happen. But there's a lot to come. We're nearing the last quarter of this year, or we're into the last quarter of this year. Daylight savings has hit. The summer is starting to heat up here in Australia. We're going to play a hell of a lot more golf. In fact, I am in a team for the midweek twilight competition at the
Ooh,
local club.
nice.
Um, so with a few of the pilgrims. So that's going to be a lot of fun. A whole lot more golf to talk about in coming episodes. And I sincerely hope that we're not just talking about those same scores week in, week out. Yeah, okay.
Yes, a little bit of improvement
Yeah, that
would
would
be
be
nice.
nice. That
Mm.
would be nice. All right. Well, Andy Walker, what is there left to do?
Rock out, pilgrims.